You've been asking God for a sign. But what if it's already been trying to reach you, and you've been calling it stress? Lately, things feel different. Not dramatic, not loud, just unsettled. People are acting strange. Doors you expected to open are closing. The things that once comforted you don't feel the same anymore. And at night, when it's quiet, your thoughts feel heavier than usual. You keep wondering, why does everything feel off? What if this isn't life falling apart? What if this is God getting your attention? You try to go back. You think if you just slip into the rhythm of your old life, it will feel familiar again. But it doesn't. Every laugh feels hollow. Every conversation scratches the surface without ever reaching the heart. The places you once called home now press against you, and you can't ignore it. It's not just that things have changed. It's that you have changed, and the old version of yourself doesn't fit anymore. You remember how easy it once was to glide through life, to belong without thinking, to feel anchored without effort. But now, the same habits leave a hollowness that gnaws at your chest. The routines that brought comfort now bring numbness. The people who once seemed like anchors now feel like weights you can't lift. And you wonder if you've made a mistake, if you've ruined something, if you're losing everything by trying to grow. But here's the truth your heart has been waiting to hear. Growth doesn't come from returning. It comes from leaving. Detachment isn't rejection, it's redirection. Every door that closes, every connection that fades, every habit that no longer serves you is not a punishment. It's preparation. It's clearing space for what is next. You are not losing your life. You are being repositioned. You are being elevated. And slowly, you start to notice it. The heaviness starts lifting. Your chest feels lighter when you choose new ways to show up. Conversations that once drained you now feel charged when they align with the real you. Spaces that used to feel tight now feel expansive, as if the world itself has made room for the person you are becoming. You aren't abandoning your past. You're outgrowing it. And the moment you stop trying to squeeze back into old versions of yourself, the space opens for a life that matches who you are now. The past doesn't reject you. It releases you. And for the first time in a long time, you feel the thrill of finally fitting into the person you were meant to be. You can't explain it. You wake up some mornings and the world looks the same, but something inside you doesn't. It's subtle at first, a low, persistent hum in your chest, a pull you can't name, a restlessness that keeps you awake even when your life seems fine. You go through your routines, check off your obligations, smile when you're supposed to smile, and yet the tug keeps returning. It doesn't make sense. Nothing is wrong. And that's exactly what makes it feel so unbearable. You try to ignore it. You tell yourself it's just stress, just fatigue, just your imagination. You distract yourself with busyness, with small comforts, with the noise of the world around you. But the pull doesn't stop. It grows quieter, sharper, deeper. It whispers in moments of stillness, nudges you in times of thought, and refuses to let you settle. It isn't anxiety. It isn't dissatisfaction. It isn't a lack of direction. It's something else entirely, a signal, a stirring, an awakening that your soul cannot deny. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you begin to notice what it's asking. You notice the questions you've been avoiding, the dreams you've been too afraid to chase, the parts of yourself you've left dormant, the talents, the passions, the truth of who you are beneath all the noise. This pull is not a curse. It's a compass. It's not a sign that you're failing. It's proof that you're alive in a way you haven't been before. The more you try to silence it, the louder it becomes. And eventually, you realize that the only way forward is to listen, to honor the tug, to let it reshape your choices, your focus, your life. It's not an accident that you feel this way. Something is calling you, something bigger than comfort, bigger than fear, bigger than what you've known so far. And if you follow it, even just a little, you'll discover that the pull that once unsettled you is the very thing that will guide you to the life you were meant to live. You've been talking into the quiet, pouring your heart out, praying, hoping, asking for clarity. You've waited, watched, and expected signs. And yet, nothing comes. Just silence. Days stretch into nights, and the quiet presses against you like weight you didn't know you were carrying. Every unanswered question, every door that doesn't open, every conversation that doesn't give you the insight you need makes your chest tighter, your thoughts louder, your doubts stronger. And in these moments, it feels like someone has left, like you're completely alone. You begin to question yourself. Are you missing something? Have you done something wrong? Have you been abandoned? That silence can feel cruel, almost intentional. You replay the same moments over and over, searching for hidden messages, for signs you've overlooked. And here's the truth. Most people treat silence like absence, as if nothing is said, nothing exists. But silence is not emptiness. Silence is a space where perspective grows, where patience is forged, and where the world, or even your own soul, begins to rearrange itself quietly. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, you start noticing the patterns you couldn't see before. The moments that felt like missed opportunities now reveal their purpose. The lessons that felt hidden now start to surface. The stillness doesn't take away from you. It makes you sharper, wiser, more aware. The silence is teaching you something about endurance, about attention, about listening in ways you never had to before. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you mistaken this silence for being ignored, when really it was a foundation being built beneath your feet? The quiet season is not a pause in life. It is preparation. And if you let it, if you endure, if you stay present within it, you'll realize that the very space that felt empty is a space that is shaping you into something stronger, something clearer, something aligned with where you're meant to go. It hits you suddenly. Someone you trusted drifts away without warning. An opportunity you worked for disappears. A plan you prayed over doesn't unfold the way you imagined. And in that moment, your chest tightens, your mind races, and you feel the sting of rejection. You replay every choice, every word, every step you took, asking yourself if you failed, if you weren't enough, if the universe, or God, has turned its back on you. It feels personal. It feels unfair. It feels like a loss you didn't choose. You wonder why life seems to pull the rug out from under you when you've been holding on so tightly. You feel powerless, frustrated, even betrayed. And yet, if you let yourself pause, if you quiet the anger and the grief, you start to notice something subtle. The doors that closed weren't random. The people who left weren't all gone by accident. The opportunities that vanished were never meant to anchor you where you are. There's a pattern you can't fully see yet, a design you can't grasp while you're still in the middle of it. And then the shift begins. You start realizing that removal doesn't always mean loss. Sometimes it's protection. Sometimes it's redirection. What once seemed painful starts to feel like preparation. The distance, the emptiness, the unexpected endings, they aren't punishment. They are clearing space. Space for growth. Space for new paths. Space for people and opportunities aligned with who you're becoming, not who you were. If you felt abandoned by circumstances, ask yourself what doors are closed that later made sense. Reflect on the times life pushed you out of situations that seemed essential. And slowly, you'll see the truth. What leave your life is not always taking from you. Sometimes it's making room for the life you couldn't have carried before. You weren't rejected. You were guided. You weren't left behind. You were being positioned for something greater than you yet imagined. You're starting to notice things about yourself that you've been avoiding for years. Small truths that you pretended weren't there. Habits that you justified. Fears that you buried under distractions. Pride that you didn't recognize because it felt natural. And suddenly, it's all staring back at you, impossible to ignore. It's uncomfortable. It's unsettling. It presses against you. And at first, it feels like a weight you can't shake. You wonder why these realizations have come now, why they feel so raw, so unavoidable. You begin to see patterns in your reactions, moments where you hurt others or held yourself back without even realizing it. You notice how easily you compromise your own peace to fit in, to avoid conflict, or to keep appearances. The awareness stings, because for the first time, you're truly confronting yourself. It's not just about mistakes, it's about truth. And truth never comes gently. It demands honesty. It demands courage. And it refuses to be ignored. But slowly, something shifts. The weight starts to feel lighter, not because the truths disappear, but because acknowledging them gives you power. Awareness is not condemnation. It's refinement. It's the first spark of transformation. You start to see how these insights can guide your choices, shape your responses, and reveal the parts of yourself that need to grow. You realize that what felt like discomfort is actually preparation. The more you see, the more you understand, and the more you can begin to change. And finally, a quiet clarity emerges. You're not being punished for your flaws. You're being given a mirror, a chance to recalibrate, to become more aligned with who you were meant to be. Each truth, no matter how hard, is a step forward. And if you recently looked at yourself and felt that jolt, the one that makes you rethink everything you thought you knew about yourself, that moment is sacred. Because awareness is a doorway to growth, and growth begins the instant you are brave enough to face yourself without turning away. You look at the things you worked for, the goals you prayed for, the milestones you chased, and suddenly they feel hollow. The excitement that once ignited your heart is gone. The satisfaction that used to settle in your chest has vanished. You chase the same routines, the same achievements, the same relationships, but they don't fill you the way they used to. You start to question yourself. Did you lose your passion? Did life take something from you? Did all of it even matter? And then the quiet truth begins to surface. The things that once brought joy no longer satisfy because you are changing. You are not less than you were before. You are rising into something different, something higher, something your old life could no longer contain. That emptiness, that restless space inside, is not a sign of failure or ingratitude. It is a signal that you are being prepared for what you have yet to receive. You notice it in subtle ways. Conversation that once thrilled you now feel shallow. Routines that once energized you now leave you drained. Even hobbies, relationships, and successes that used to feel essential now feel like placeholders. And at first, it feels unsettling, almost unfair. You long for the comfort of satisfaction that once came so easily, but it doesn't return. And that's because it's never meant to return, not in the same form. And then, slowly, you begin to understand. The emptiness isn't a loss, it's a clearing, a space being carved for something deeper, something more aligned with who you're becoming. You start to realize that growth always tastes different than what you expected. And as a hollowness lingers, you begin to feel a stirring of anticipation, a hint of possibility that the life ahead will carry a fulfillment your past could never hold. That sense of disconnect, that void you once feared, is actually the doorway to a higher life. And when you step through it, you'll discover that what once left you empty is now making room for the abundance you've been destined to receive. Everything in your life feels stretched. Your energy, your patience, your emotions, all of it is being tested. You wake up tired, carry invisible weight through your day, and by the time night falls, it feels like the world is asking more than you have to give. And yet, somehow, against every expectation, you haven't given up. You haven't surrendered. You're still standing, even when standing feels impossible. You notice it in the small things, the moments where you could have broken, the arguments, the setbacks, the delays, the betrayals, but didn't. Where every fiber of your being wanted to quit, you breathed through it. Where life shook your foundations, you kept your balance. And that's when the truth begins to reveal itself. The pressure you feel is not punishment. The weight you carry is not meant to crush you. It is preparation. It is refinement. It is a shaping of what is coming next, and it's removing what cannot travel with you. You may feel scattered, fragmented, like the pieces of your life are falling apart. And for a while, that is exactly what it feels like. But look closer. The spaces that feel empty, the relationships that feel strained, the plans that are failing, they are clearing room. They are carving out a path you couldn't have walked while clinging to the old ways. Every painful stretch, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt is actually moving you toward alignment, toward the version of life and self that was always waiting for you. And slowly, you begin to realize that what feels like breaking is actually a breaking open, a shedding of what you no longer need, a clearing of what cannot rise with you. You may not see it now, and it may not feel good in the moment, but every tear, every struggle, every moment of exhaustion is leading you into a stronger, more grounded, more authentic self. So when you feel like you're falling apart, remember this. Sometimes falling apart is falling into place. And as you stand in the middle of all the chaos, you are not losing. You are being aligned, shaped, and lifted. Which of these signs hits you the hardest right now? Which one feels most personal in your life? Comment down below